No, I love
Welcome
it.
back. You might want to scoot up a little bit. My head looks like 4 times the size of yours.
Further than I want
Maybe it
to.
is 4 times. Welcome back to welcome back to Grid Gym. Welcome back to the Rachael and Adam show. This is the show where we talk about all things considered anything. Rachael is more of a feeler, and I'm more of a thinker. And so we are the yin. She is the yin to my yang, and vice versa.
Yeah, our discussion is kind of based off those two.
Yeah.
Our discussions.
And we try to keep these fresh, so it's just like kind of a think tank on Tuesdays, so you can come here live, 12:30, ask us questions, write in things. I very much like it when people disagree with me because that allows me to expand my intelligence by understanding a new perspective.
Yeah. Nobody thinks 100% the same.
And you're going to base it on your experiences that you had in your life. Everybody's going to have a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, nobody's had the exact same experience, so we can all bring a little something to each other. Even twins.
Yeah.
They've had the exact same experience for the most part, or the closest that you can get.
Yeah, let's say identical twins. They have the same genetic makeup. They lived in probably the same household, and if they read the same book, they're going to have 2 different experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about today is
rar.
Anger.
Go for it. Introduce it.
We're talking about anger. I don't know specifically. I mean, we've all obviously touched on the subject of anger before on this show, but we wanted to talk more about. I don't know. What did you want to go into?
I had a few different things in mind. I was thinking about the other night when we were at the get together, and that girl goes screamed at her boyfriend like, "Don't talk to me like that," when he didn't say. I think she took it personally when he wasn't meaning it the way that she intended. But we could kind of go into that and like question whether that's really a strong position of her, because I think like if you asked her, she'd be like, "No, I was standing up for myself," and but really, like, to me, I don't think that's strength. I think that's throwing a temper tantrum.
Okay.
So I thought maybe we could go back and forth on that. And I know that you wanted to hit on the Kavanaugh thing and his testimony. Is that what it's called? The thing where he like had his little front and center in the moment deal, and he kind of.
Yeah.
I did not see it, so I'm going completely off. I have no idea, but everybody says he threw a huge fit.
I did go back and look at it, so I do have a different kind of take on it.
Okay.
So, if that makes sense.
But we're going to get into that a little bit of like the anger and how our day-to-day lives, because it's not like I've never lost my shit.
Okay, so I thought we'd kind of start with how we see anger, or our description or definition of what it
Should I look
is
up
to
Google's
us.
definition?
Yeah, look it up.
All right, you tell them what
I came to.
I can listen and do
okay.
this at once. I cannot talk back and do 2 things at once.
Like on not a definition point of view, I thought it was like anger is when someone threatens like your morality, your ideas, your ethics, like something that is authentically you, and when it threatens you, it turns into a subconscious feeling that goes.
Well, go ahead. I'll ask you questions at the end.
So, every emotion is kind of like a signal, like a feeling.
Okay.
And it goes through you, like not your conscious mind first, but your subconscious. It's like it rises out of something that you're not necessarily able to filter through and navigate through,
like
unless
a belief structure, like something that you just have, like without thinking about it.
So like when you see something sad and like tears come to your eyes, it's like not that you've like really thought that through, it just like kind of happens. Like even as a baby we have sadness and we have like uncomfortable feeling, like it's a feeling that just until you really understand where it's coming from.
So are you saying, I'm cutting you off way too many times. Keep going.
And until you understand where it's coming from, you don't really know how to process anger. As a baby, you don't really, it just is a feeling that comes up. But as we get older, we learn to process those feelings differently with our experiences. So that's like not on a definition stance, but like
that's
as
how you view it.
Yeah, how I feel it. But what does it say as a definition?
Google says a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility, and as a noun, and then as a verb,
yeah.
It's to fill with anger, provoke anger in.
Yeah.
So my first question to yours before I get into mine was: do you find, like when you said threatens, that anger is a threat to that belief structure that you were bringing up, or whatever it is that you're like that thing, that truth, let's call it, or that it's being threatened, yes, or that you find it threatening?
It's something about you is being threatened.
So the threat is within you, not like it's not me causing the anger in you because I'm threatening your belief, but rather but there's almost like a battle of
anger is all about you
within you. Okay,
anger
so
comes from inside you. Nobody can throw, like, you can give 5 different people the same exact I don't know, like something that would cause somebody to be angry. Yeah. But it's going to affect everyone differently.
Yeah, like some people are going to laugh.
What I'm saying is like it's something that kind of touches a button in you that threatens, yes, like you on a very basic level. And the more basic, usually the more, like how they say you can't like figure out where the anger is coming from, and it usually goes back to your biggest stress or your biggest fear. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when somebody points to that and like kind of pokes that button, that's when your anger comes out.
Yeah. So
that's when the feeling.
Just to be clear, you're not saying that it's their responsibility though. You're saying it's your responsibility that you're digging up something.
Oh yeah. It's totally about the person that's getting angry.
Yeah.
When a little kid does something naughty or whatever, or not even naughty, just like annoys the parent, like, I got it. And the parent's reaction is like full on rage. Like, is that the little kid's?
No, it's the parent's fault.
Is that the little kid's fault for not even knowing that that's something wrong? Like, they're learning how to do stuff, and I mean, it's easy to take it out on the little kid and blame them for it, but it's really.
Well, that's the thing, because we have a really hard time acknowledging that we're the perpetrator of our own victimization in that scenario. It's like if you're getting mad, you're going to look for an external thing before. Well, it's very hard to be like, no, it's my fault. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And then my second question was, are you saying that anger is a social construct? So anger is something that we learn, or are you saying that it's a biological thing that we just have, like, just in our DNA?
I think biological. I don't know if you think that.
Yeah.
I think it can be learned, but I think on a basic level, like when we are threatened, we are told, or we are made to try and like protect ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think it's a both. I don't think it's an either or. I think on some level, if like otherwise, why would you have a fight or flight?
Yeah.
You know, like that, fight or flight is not a questionable thing. That is not a social construct. Mm-hmm. That is not questionable. It is in your DNA. It is older. It is literally millions of years old. That it predates humans by a long, long shot. So yeah. I mean, but at the same time, I think that we learn how to be. Fight or flight isn't anger.
No.
I think we learn how to be angry. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But like the some of the things that we have, some of the qualities that we have in our body, I think you could make the case for both of those.
Yeah. What I'm talking about is like when you look at babies, it looks like they're angry, or when you see like an animal that feels like they're being attacked or something. Yeah. Like dogs will like growl or like somehow like make themselves look bigger.
Yep. And
is that anger or is that fear?
Yeah. See, I don't think that that's anger, and I don't think that's fear. I think that's aggression.
Yeah.
And I call it, like, to me, we go And so like that animal, I don't believe that animal is angry. I think that animal is aggressive and they're focused and they are ready to defend themselves at any means necessary. They're ferocious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Step in between a cow.
Do you think that's how you begin the anger though? Like if it's a learned thing?
No, I think you learn that from your parents being silly.
Okay.
Like the first time I ran into that was I remember watching my nephew through this. His grandma, my mom, said, "Okay, it's time to go to bed for the night." And he drew this huge fit. And he's like, "Now!" And I was like, "Whoa, listen to this." And I had seen his dad, who has a big temper, do the exact same thing multiple times. And I was like, wow. But what was interesting about it was you could tell he was just acting it out. It was just an act. It was a show. And I think that he learned that and that he thought that that's what you were supposed to do when you didn't like what was going on. Yeah, when he didn't probably want to go to bed and he learned this is what you do but you could tell it was a total act. It was 100% a show. But so I think I don't think it's necessarily social or biological, or I think it's both. I think you can make a very good case for both. But my definition of anger is a psychological distancing. So if let's say I get angry, and to me, anger is fear of not being enough. So if I get angry and you're around, which, why would I want to get angry? This is one of the funniest things to me when people get angry at the person they care most about in the world. It's just like, you're going to pour like poison over the top of their head and you're just going to take all your garbage and throw it right over the top of their head.
I wrote that.
It makes any sense. Really? But like, let's say I get angry. I think what's happening is your mind has created this idea that you can psychologically distance yourself from other people. So you push them away so that they can't see that you're afraid.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of in a roundabout how I was thinking about it.
Yeah. It's like an aggressive display to push people away from seeing that you're afraid.
Well, it's them.
That's how I
like almost like you're seeing like your deepest stuff right there, and you don't want that person to see it in that moment. You're kind of vulnerable, so it turns to aggression. I guess that kind of like goes back to the animal.
Why?
Like, because in that moment, like the animal is like in fear, so they're showing aggression so that they can get out of that.
They could be. I don't know. I don't look at it like they're scared. I look at it like they're ready for you. Like,
yeah. They're showing like, I got this. Like, that's why they like puff up their feathers and or like make a display of, it's just it's a defense.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my.
I did write like, is anger poison?
Just watch out for that dude. They're throwing a fit.
No, yeah.
That's why I say that girl at the party that was like, "Don't talk to me like that." I was just like, "Geez, I didn't think he said anything bad."
Also, if we were to look back at times where we kind of lost our cool.
Yeah.
Which was probably many for me and my sister. Like, Elena and I did not get along growing up, and it was many times where she knew how to push my buttons, and I knew how to jump on her back and punch her. So, in those moments, though, you're not thinking about what's actually going on, and then when you disperse and the situation ends, like, I don't think anybody is like, yeah, I'm so glad I acted that exact way. Your brain kind of shuts off for a second.
Yep.
Like, you do have control. You have to practice that control, and realize that that's exactly what she wanted out of me. She wanted a reaction, and I gave it to her.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do to override that, though. I mean, you're talking about something that, like, you don't even realize that you don't realize that you're doing it.
That's what I mean by...
You didn't know that you didn't know.
By looking at, like, why are we getting angry? What is the thing that's really making me feel this way in this moment? Why is it, like, such a all-encompassing feeling where it's, like, rage, you know?
Like, are you trying to get down to
the source? Like, get down to the source, and then when you find out what the source is, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, obviously, a reaction like this doesn't make it better. Maybe throwing a medicine ball against a wall makes it kind of like alleviate, but you don't like that?
No, I don't usually get angry when I'm throwing a medicine ball, but catharsis.
It's a stress
a lot of
reliever.
professionals, like mental health professionals, believe in catharsis. I don't. I think catharsis is like indulgence in your own BS.
I'm not saying I think of something like that's particularly like pissing me off and I throw a medicine ball. I'm saying it's a stress reliever.
Yeah, I agree. You mean
pent
so you're
up
not,
like emotions that you don't even know where they're coming from, and you're just kind of like, I just need to like get this out, like going for a run or whatever. So that does help.
For clarity, you're not using anger to pump yourself up.
No. I didn't mean it like that. I meant like.
Because I used to do that. I did that for a long time. Like,
it could be like excitement. It could be anxiety. It could be sadness. It could be fear. It could be whatever, and you're throwing it, and it's like a release of like built up emotions that you don't know where they're coming from, but in that moment you have control. Like you're like displaying your emotions in a positive way rather than like.
You mean when you're throwing the medicine ball at the wall, not when you're being afraid and angry and acting like a little baby?
Yeah, not when you're punching your little sister. Yeah, I mean this was like 15 years ago.
And you guys are basically the same age.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we do this.
It would be a big difference between me saying I was punching my little sister and you saying you were punching your little sister.
Yeah, we're the same
age. My
little
sister's like
she knew over 6 years what she was in for.
All right, so let's get into it. What other? So is anger poison? Yeah, I mean, I think that you'd have to say that because what are you trying to spread? I mean, if you, I think it's poison to all the people that you're around because it's highly contagious, and then at the same time, like what are you doing to you?
Yeah, what are you doing to you?
Like, if we're saying that anger is 100% a one-way street, like it's your responsibility that you are getting angry, then yeah, you really screwed up.
I don't know if I ever told you that story about I had this girl. I was having a conversation with her. I don't know her really well, but she was with this guy. It was like a new relationship, and I was like, "So how's it going? Like, you guys been dating for a while?" And she's like, "Yeah, but he's just too nice." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, sometimes." Sounds really bad, but I try to make him angry, and I try to piss him off, and I'm like,
people do that all the time, though. I mean, they beg for conflict.
Exactly. So in that moment, like you're trying to poison your relationship in that moment, like with his fear or his.
I think
anger.
what she was really saying that she wanted him to have a backbone.
I think it was like testing him as well. But to her, the anger was normal in a relationship, is what I mean. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, well, yeah. If anger is normal in your relationship, then you're going to find a way to create anger in your relationship. So, it's probably not a very healthy scenario for her.
And that, and what going off of what you were saying,
before, like I know that with the past relationships I've had this before where it's just like you beg and you beg and you beg and you beg and then you beg for a fight long enough and it's just like eventually like
it's gonna happen.
Like the person gives it to them and they scream at him and say it and then they're like, why are you so mean? It's like, well, you like what have you been asking for? What have you been picking at?
So you got what you asked for, I guess.
Yeah, you got what you asked for. Dangerous space to play.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Okay, so we've gotten kind of clear on what we think anger is. I'd like to hear what you guys think anger is. You can put that in the comments below, and we can go over those at the end. Do you think that it's a self-responsibility game where you're 100% responsible for your anger and nobody else is? Or do you think that it's a situation where you can say somebody else made you mad? Like, they made me mad. Or do you think you got mad? I would really like to hear the answer to that and just how you define it in general. But what else you got?
Well, I also, on that note, I thought that it was it's like when you give in to the anger, you know, it's like a loss of control. You're like just saying like, oh, I'm just going to go with this. And you go to like a lower consciousness.
You give away your power.
Yeah. You're not using your ability to think things through at that moment. You're just kind of going with it. Like, I don't know. I know that we've gone back and forth with this, but when I see like fights in the bar, I'm just like there's no way that you're that angry that you have to like lunge at somebody and like beat the shit out of them for no reason at all.
Maybe not you.
I know, not me. But I
there's
think,
no excuse for it. And what I just said almost made it sound like I'm excusing them but
no, yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But
it's ridiculous.
I just think in the moment they kind of let themselves get pumped up by the crowd and let themselves like give in to the anger and just like wail on each other. I just hate seeing people get hurt. Like I, in my mind, I'm just like, this is going to be one of those instances where somebody hits their head and like breaks their neck, and I don't know. I hate seeing that. So, and it would happen sometimes when I was working, and I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't relate to it. So
did you jump in, drop elbows, throw kicks, ninja your way through?
I would be the one who's like, guys, stop.
Did you use that voice?
No, I hope not. But yeah, I just don't see, like, you're not using your brain at that point. Like, when you're
let's talk about power a little bit.
Okay.
Like a lot of people look at this differently. They look at control. Like when I think of control, like people that reach for control, they tend to be they tend to be more scared. And people that are more powerful can remain present in that moment, and they can think their way through it instead of going to this like fearful place. That's what I think of power. And so like a person that knows when to throw the punch versus knows when to walk away. Like there's probably a time and a place to throw the punch. You know, like if somebody's trying to beat the shit out of you, you better defend yourself.
Of course, yeah. I'm not saying like, yeah, it definitely has a time or a place, but when you're using the anger to like do the thing
or to justify it.
Yeah.
You made me mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. It's the same thing with being offended. Offensive. The word offended has just become synonymous with anger, and it's just like, no, like you gave your power away.
Yeah.
You being offended does not solve anybody. It does not give any sort of solution. It just means that you're offended. It just shows how weak you are.
Okay. Yeah. I get that.
So to me, like a person who gets offended, powerless. They're so terrified of not being enough. They've given up their power? Yeah, they've given away all of their power. Highly offensive.
Well, that's kind of like the thing I was talking about, like angry, when you get angry when someone threatens your like morals or ethics or like who you are.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like, let's say you catch somebody in a lie.
Okay.
Say that is like something that you find very like purposeful and like close to you. Like you hate when people lie.
In general?
No, I'm saying say if you.
Okay, gotcha.
Like if you catch someone in a lie, or if you catch someone cheating, like those are.
You mean like in a relationship cheating, like?
Yeah.
Like spouses screwing around with someone else in town?
Cheating on their test.
Cheating on their test. Okay.
Yeah, those are times when it threatens like your like who you are. And you see someone else getting away with it, and it's just like, it causes anger. That's what I meant in the beginning as a definition.
See, I don't know if that causes anger, because like I think it would take more questions in each of those moments to figure out if there was wrongdoing, let's say.
Yeah.
And people try to jump to a wrongdoing, like, no, you cheated, that's always wrong. Like,
yes.
No, you lied, that's always wrong. And it's like, well, not totally.
You'd have to know the whole story.
You broke the law, that's always wrong. Well, did you ever break the speed limit?
Of course. And if you haven't, then you're lying.
Sometimes it's not that big of a deal.
Nobody is
Did your grandma ever give you something that you didn't really love and you said, Grandma, I love it? Like,
yeah.
You know? Like, sometimes it's understandable.
Yeah. I agree.
Anyway, so I'm just saying, but you're saying that in that situation, the person who gets angry and is saying that that's the cause of their anger, that they're saying that made me mad that you lied to me, that it's because it's threatening the belief that they're...
If that's something that they hold very important to them,
okay, I
can see how they can treat that as, this is what you did to me. Or them like manipulating it and saying that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's right.
But I mean, you're going down, like, not you, but in that moment, you're going down this huge road of chaos. Like, you had like this orderly, like, let's say it's a relationship where somebody lied to the other person, and they consider them to be honest, and they were never going to lie to them, and so that's like an order. You had that in a box, and then they lied to you, and it created all this chaos, and now you're like, holy shit, what like everything's no different than if your house was all clean when you left in the morning, you came home and it's flipped upside down all over the place. And you're like, it's chaos. Yeah. So I can see why you would kind of lose your shit.
Well,
really
should we?
Why I put that in quotes,
I guess we said that we were gonna like touch on the Kavanaugh thing. So
yeah, let's hit on that.
Let me start.
What about that? Because I don't know much about this.
So the Kavanaugh thing, if you haven't seen it, it's just like him kind of. In the beginning, I watched it, he's like defending himself and saying that this is all a lie and like it's like destroying his family and blah, blah, blah. But what I think he didn't do well was he let his emotions and his anger get the best of him. And
is it clear that he loses his cool? Is it very, very clear that he gets angry?
I wouldn't say that he's like screaming and yelling angry. I just think that he's kind of losing it in that moment. He's just like, he's tired of being like asked questions. He's tired of all this, which is very understandable. Like if this is something that didn't happen and you're trying to defend yourself, then you should be very present and understand like people are trying to get to the bottom of it.
That's the hope, right?
And I mean, in his bet, like for him to get out on the other end and people to believe him, he has to do that. I think that he just let his emotions get a hold of him. And
see, I think it's all an act. I think all of this political stuff is just a silly reality TV show where they're all doing some bullshit act where they're trying to manipulate the crowd. But you're talking about manipulating the crowd with the way, like, if he can be present, then he seems like a more of a believable character. I think maybe he's trying to throw a fit so that he seems like more of the believable character. So it's not too far off to say what I said there.
I don't think it worked in his favor.
Maybe it didn't. And regardless of that, like, if he did lose his cool and he's in a position that requires you to take your emotions out of the scenario, then he screwed up.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I don't see it one side or the other. I just like, you watch him and you don't even have to be looking at or listening to what he's saying. Yeah. You see it in his emotions. You see it in his body language. Like, he is distraught. And like,
I think if I was on trial for... Yeah.
One person you would want in this position is somebody who is calm, cool, and collected, not like frantic, is what I'm kind of
like I would like that. I think you would like that, but I don't know if everybody would think that way.
Well, you don't want to vote on emotion. You don't want to. You want to vote with your head.
Whoa, feeler.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
I would not be a good person to be voting for stuff like that. Or, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be a good person in that position because I am a feeler, or I'm too far on that side of feeling.
Someone would come into you and start screaming at you and be like, and you'd be like, oh my God.
I'm not saying I never think. I'm just saying it's my tendency to do that. I would not want to be in that position because I don't want to be responsible for something like that when I know that I tend to feel more.
Yeah.
Well, that's
you're an
like
extremely
a natural
thinker.
Bias.
Like, you'll sit and really go to depth with just one topic.
Well, okay, so here's another example. So have you ever done jury duty?
No, God,
okay.
I hope I never have to.
So for some reason, I don't know why, but like I've been called like 3 or 4 times.
That sucks.
Yeah. So the one time I did go, they ask you questions like before the trial starts. They give you like the background.
You get to choose if you don't go?
Well, no, I'll explain it.
Okay.
So how it works is you basically sit in a room and they give you like the background story on whatever is going on, like the trial, or okay. I don't even know. And they tell you this, and then they go through, each side gives you a series of questions and you have to answer them truthfully. So in this case, it was about a car accident. Okay. So they went through and they asked us all, like, have you ever been in a car accident? How old were you? What was your experience with that? Did you ever feel like anger, or they don't want a bias in there. They don't want you going in having like an anger because they know you're not going to think without feeling a certain way. Long story short, I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know if this would have like affected anything, but I was in a car accident when I was 5 years old. Like I know, a fender bender.
But they would have picked you had they thought that you would have helped them win their case. I think you give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Lawyers are not that good-hearted. They're not. So, they're doing it. They're picking you based on how they can win their case, not based on.
Yeah, but both sides kicked. Well, I mean,
both sides.
I'm sure one of them kicked it, but like in that moment, like that was like such a tiny little thing in my like. It was 25 years ago that happened to me, and they didn't want me voting. Yeah. So something like this, like I don't know. I think they should take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Something like this, like
something
what do you mean
like this,
like the Kavanaugh thing.
Like yeah, like do you want somebody voting?
I don't know much about this whole thing. I don't know even what I think he's something about Supreme Court or something like that. Yeah. Like,
it's fine. We don't have to talk about it.
All politics just kind of like kind of disgusts me. I think it's just hard for me to even swallow that this is a thing.
Okay. Well,
to me, like politics should just be like this little tiny blip in the back of all of our minds. It's like, oh yeah, that's a nice thought.
Yeah.
Done.
So, do you want to wrap it up?
No, I wanted to talk about that girl that flipped out of the party. That she didn't really even flip out. She just like, don't talk to me that way, like right in front of everybody. And I wanted to talk about if we consider that strength, because she considers that strength because she stood up for herself. And I don't consider that strength at all. She could have stood up I think it would have been stronger had she waited 2 hours, calmly waited 2 hours, and then brought it up later and said, hey, you know when you said this, why did you say it that way? Or why did you say that? How did you intend to say that? Like that sounds like stronger. That seems like a more strong way to stand up for yourself.
It was a very quick second, and it was clear that it was a defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she took it. Okay, so this is my perspective.
She took it personal, and she went into defensive mode in that moment, which can be.
But that wasn't a defense. That was an attack. From my perspective,
I thought she was kidding.
She took it personal.
So I can't.
Went into attack, and he smiled it off like, oh, whatever. And the rest of us kind of smiled it off. And I was sitting over there like analyzing it and thinking it through, like, and anyway.
I see.
Came to the conclusion, like analyzing it, coming to the conclusion, and I was wondering what your perspective was. Is why I'm bringing this up.
Well, I can tell you what mine was.
Do you think that's strength, and that she's standing up for herself?
If that's what happened, then I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak for their relationship, but
me either.
I don't know. I didn't really see it.
Well, what how do you think? Like, so let's say I say something to you, and it's like kind of bossy, let's say, but it's just like.
I don't want you being bossy.
Me either. I hate being bossy. Like it's really like ugh. Like doesn't feel good for I don't like giving orders. But let's say I do, and you don't like it very much. Like, what's the best way for you to handle that? That you don't like it very much. Is it to snap back right away, or to bring it up later?
Thinking about it and addressing it later, not bring it out in the open and snap back, obviously.
Okay, so is one weak and one strong? Or are they both strong or both weak?
I think they could be looked at like if it was someone, if you see someone snapping at their girlfriend and the girlfriend just like sits there quiet, I think that looks weak.
Wait, it's weak for him? So it's weak for the person that did the snapping, or weak for the person who just sat there and took it?
Weak for the person that just sat there and took it.
Okay, but what else were they supposed to do?
Politely say like, okay, but you don't have to say it like that.
But should you hash that out right in front of everybody at this
No,
public
I
event?
didn't say, I said they should do it later on. I don't think that's weakness.
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's very strong to sit there and smile and be like, goes on with their business like it didn't happen, and then it never gets confronted. And
yeah, you don't want that because it's probably going to happen again. And who wants that?
yeah, but I think like from my perspective, it was weak of her to do that, to snap at him.
Okay.
And it would be weak of him to not bring it up later and say and confront it, and vice versa. It would have been much stronger of her to swallow it for an hour until they were alone and then confront it without going to combat. That would have been much stronger, I think. But I wanted to know your perspective. Maybe I shouldn't have sprung it on you.
I think I just said my perspective.
That what? Okay.
I said I don't think she's weak I don't think that she's weak for saying something. It might have been how she said it.
Okay, but what about at that time? Should she have brought it up at that time?
I said that she should wait till the end after she thought it through and bring it up after she's thought it through. Not in the moment. Because, like, what's the point of hashing it out right there?
Yeah.
To everybody else, it looks weak because she's not saying anything in that moment. But that doesn't mean it's weakness.
Well, it's weakness to make it snappy. It's not weak. It's strong to confront, but it's weak to go to combat.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I already said what I thought.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. I shouldn't have sprung it on you. But like you see that all the time, and it's just like people think that that's strong, and it's so that to stand up for yourself with this anger, and I'm like, that's not standing up for yourself.
No, it's more uncomfortable.
What did you have on there? Did you want to go?
I had everything taken care of.
Everything taken care of. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to leave them with before you wait a week to be back?
No, I'll be back on Tuesday. So if you guys have any comments or requests for next time, just let us know.
All right, thanks for being here, guys. Please like, comment, share, tell us what you thought, and make sure to put your definition of anger down below and whether you think what was the question? Oh, whose responsibility is it? Is it possible for someone else to make you mad, or